yeah, savage! I'm a savage! Oh!
48 hours, he's with me, so, and we gonna go full.
The video appears to show Combs punching and kicking the R&B singer who was his longtime girlfriend.
Sean Diddy Combs, a name synonymous with success, power, and a once unassailable empire. A visionary who transformed hip-hop into a global juggernaut. But what happens when the very empire you built begins to crumble? The rise of Diddy was nothing short of legendary, but his fall, one marked by betrayal, scandal, and a journey into the darkest corners of his own life, was equally dramatic. This is the story of how P. Diddy went from being the king of hip-hop to ending up behind bars, questioning the price of fame and the cost of ambition. It all started in the heart of Harlem, where a young Sean Combs had one thing on his mind: success. Growing up in poverty, the streets could either make you or break you, and Combs chose to make his way to the top. His passion for music and ambition would propel him into the inner sanctum of the music industry. He wasn't just any executive, he was a mogul in the making. By the age of 24, he founded Bad Boy Records, a label that would change the trajectory of hip-hop forever. From the very start, Diddy had the Midas touch. His vision, his charisma, and his hustle were unmatched. He discovered and nurtured talents like the Notorious Big, Mary J. Blige, and Mace, turning them into superstars. Bad Boy Records wasn't just a label, it was a movement, one that redefined the sound of East Coast rap and set the standard for what hip-hop moguls could achieve. Diddy wasn't just a producer, he was a brand. His empire included fashion, film, and media, and for a time, it seemed like nothing could stop him. But behind the glitz and glamour, behind the flashy cars, platinum albums, and millions of dollars, there was a darker side to Diddy's success. His rise was not without scandal, his reputation for ruthless business tactics, and his involvement in conflicts with other record labels and artists became the stuff of legend. But it wasn't just business battles that would come to haunt him, it was his personal life. The death of the Notorious Big in 1997 marked a turning point for Diddy. The murder left a scar on the entire hip-hop community, and with it came rumors of his involvement in the East Coast-West Coast rivalry, fueling accusations of corruption and betrayal. Diddy's public persona began to tarnish, but he managed to maintain his dominance. He continued to build his empire, even if it was becoming increasingly clear that his ambitions were pushing him to the edge. In the early 2000s, the cracks in his empire started to show. The once invincible figure was now being called out for his personal flaws, and his relationships with his artists were beginning to unravel. His infamous feuds with other music moguls, his growing reputation for exploitation, and his constant struggle to stay relevant in an evolving industry started to wear on him. The fame and fortune he once reveled in became the very chains that bound him. As Diddy's empire started to fall apart, his personal life mirrored this decline. His once glamorous relationships, like the highly publicized one with Jennifer Lopez, ended with controversy and media frenzy. His name became synonymous not just with success, but with scandal. Accusations of violence, cheating, and a lack of integrity plagued his public image. He was no longer just a mogul, he was a symbol of the dangers of excess, ego, and living on the edge. And then came the crash. In a twisted turn of fate, it wasn't the music industry that brought Diddy to his knees. It was his own actions. A series of legal battles, personal betrayals, and criminal investigations had him running for cover. In 2018, after years of increasingly erratic behavior and mounting legal issues, Diddy was arrested. The charges, a mix of financial fraud, assault, and what many speculated was a desperate attempt to cover up years of misdeeds. The once powerful mogul, who had dominated both the music scene and the business world, now found himself facing the cold walls of a jail cell. The fall was swift and brutal. From the penthouses to the prison yard, Diddy's journey became a tragic reminder of how quickly one can lose it all. But the question remains, how did this happen to a man who had everything? Was it greed, betrayal, or simply the weight of his own ambition? As Diddy languished behind bars, the public was left to wonder how a man who had once been on top of the world could fall so far. Was it the price of chasing fame, power, and fortune, or was it the inevitable consequence of living a life fueled by ego and excess? Diddy's story is more than just a tale of rise and fall, it's a cautionary tale about the price of success, the corruption of fame, and the devastating consequences of living in a world where power always comes at a cost. And while Diddy's legacy as a hip-hop mogul remains, the story of his fall serves as a warning to those who believe they can outrun the consequences of their actions. The man who once seemed untouchable, the king of hip-hop, now must answer for the life he built, a life that eventually led him to the very bottom. The rise and fall of P. Diddy. It's a story of ambition, betrayal, and the ultimate reckoning.